Hey guys, how are you? It's really good to see you and I missed you. And I'm laughing right now because when I hit record, I looked at myself in the video and I apologize for this messy, ratty little girl right now. But I'm exhausted and I really wanted to sit and make a video for you real quick. And I told my brother today that I would make a video. So here I am. It's been a crazy week. I just finished my first week back at school, and I'm taking 3 classes this semester. Two of them are in person, and one of them is online. And on Tuesday, I had a class that went until about 9 o'clock at night, so I got home about 9:30, and I was exhausted, and I kind of just did a couple of things, ate and went to bed, and I didn't do any homework. And then on Thursday morning, I had class at 7:15 in the morning, and it was from 7:15 to 9:15, and then I went straight to work, and I worked until 6. So this girl is very, very, very tired, but here's the feedback from my first week. The first class that I'm taking is online and it's medical terminology, and it seems like it's, as long as you can memorize things, then you'd probably be okay. And then I'm also taking anatomy 2, lab and lecture. Lab, I'm very pleased with my professor. She's a pharmacist and she works in the ER in a hospital, and then she teaches at night because she loves teaching. But she's got a great bubbly personality. The thing that I really liked was that I would say 80% of my class took her for anatomy 1, and then they all came back and took her again for anatomy 2. So that says something. That says something big to me, and I really like her. And then my anatomy lecture professor, he's got a very thick accent, and he is very difficult to understand. And I had his class at 7:15 this morning, so I think I'm going to have to do a lot of that on my own, but that's okay. It's okay. Because we've been going on this little journey, I want to share an update with you on something interesting that happened this past week. So, as you know, I decided to go the BSN route instead of the ASN route, and my current plan is to complete my prerequisites and then to apply for nursing school from there. And part of the reason that I chose the school that I wanted to go to was because they had a straight to BSN program. I didn't have to stop and do the ASN first. So now that I am in school and now that I have learned more about the way that this whole process works, I still believe that the BSN is the best route for me, but I really would like to try to figure out if there's a way to make it happen any sooner. And I'm not really necessarily looking for shortcuts, but kind of, I guess, if that's the way that it has to work. But what I'm really trying to do is figure out how can I do more school and less work and move along in the process faster. So when I moved back down to Florida, I think I mentioned this on one of my videos, I had coffee with a good friend of mine who had just graduated from this nursing school down here with his ASN, and his goal was to complete that, get a job at the hospital, and then go back and get his BSN, but have the hospital pay some form of tuition reimbursement. And from what I understand, a lot of people do that, and that is something that I considered. The thing for me is that I really know that I would have liked to get my BSN, and doing that is literally going to be the same amount of time, if not even just a little less, because of the amount of credits that I have. So anyway, what I wanted to tell you was that I started doing, after I met my friend for coffee, he had just graduated from this program, and he graduated from a school down here that I hadn't even looked at as an option. And he really, really had great things to say about it. And one of the things that he had to say was that almost every single person in his cohort had multiple job offers before they were even done with school. And obviously that's huge. So anyway, a couple of weeks ago, I reached out to the school because they do have a direct to BSN program. And I spoke with someone there, and they had me put in an application and send in all of my transcripts. And P.S., I spoke with them this Wednesday, and there is a way, I'll explain it to you in a minute, there is a way that I could potentially do a bunch of things that would need to happen over this next semester and then start actual nursing school in January. And with the current path that I'm on, that would actually get me into nursing school maybe 9 to 12 months early. It would actually take me a little bit longer to finish because of the way that the program is structured, but I would actually start nursing school in January, which means that I would also be eligible for the tuition scholarships, which only get paid in the nursing program as soon as January, if I could figure this out. So here's the situation. Two of my classes that I took all the way back when I was in college 30 years ago, one of them is college algebra, God help me, and the other one is sociology. They are not transferring in because the credits were from more than 5 years ago. So those are two extra classes that I was going to have to take before I could transfer in. They are the first school that said to me, look, you're a smart girl. If you think that you can do it, you can actually CLEP out or test out of those two classes. It's like $125 for the test. And you go and study for it the way that you would study for any college test. And I'm sure, I haven't even looked yet, but I'm sure that there's a ton of information online. So I would have to CLEP or test out of college algebra and sociology, and that's one part of it. The second part of it is, I've talked to you before, and you probably already know about the TEAS entrance exam. And this is basically the exam that you need to take to get into nursing school. And every school has a different grade that they want for people who are applying to the school. So what they told me today is that, and I'm sorry, let me just say one more thing. I was not planning on taking the TEAS anytime soon, because I do not need to take it while I am taking my prereqs. When I'm done with my prereqs, when I apply to nursing school, that's when I would need to take it. However, this school came back to me and they said that if I take and pass with an 85 or higher, my TEAS, and I CLEP out of those two courses. So that's a crap ton of studying and work, as you, I'm sure, can imagine. And then I have 3 classes on top of that. But if I could pass this exam, then, and I CLEP out of those 2 classes, then they've already reviewed everything and I would get in and be able to start the bachelor's program in January. So I have a lot of soul searching to do this weekend because I have no idea the amount of work that would be needed for that. And it's actually not even the TEAS that concerns me too much. It's kind of the kleps, but I know myself, and I know that if I decide that this is something that I think that I can do, then I'm just going to give this my all, and I'm going to try. And I can actually do it step by step. So they do not all need to be done at the same time. They basically said that I have 3 chances to do that entrance exam. And so they said the latest that I could do the first one would be the end of September. So that would be the very first thing I would have to do, is take the next month and study for that, and then take the exam in September. If I pass on my first shot, then I can go and I can start studying for one of the kleps. Those are unlimited. You can take them as many times as you pay for them. They're like $125. And I can do that step by step, assuming that I do well in the courses that I'm in now, and that I complete that by, I think, December 15th or the 20th, something like that. So anyway, I have a lot of soul searching to do, and I'm sorry if that rambled on a bit, but you guys have been with me through this entire process, and I am doing this as someone who hasn't been in school in 30 years, going through some major life changes right now. And, if I could teach someone or explain to someone the steps that I went through, it might be helpful to someone. So anyway, that's the reason that I was telling you. I also just remembered, as I was saying that my class this morning, it was at 7:15 this morning. There were about 30 people in the class, and I swear I was at least 30 years older than the oldest kid in that class, and that they were all younger than my kids. So my last semester, it wasn't like that. Maybe it's because I took night classes last semester, and so maybe it's people that were like closer in age to me because they work all day. These were like all kids whose parents are paying for them to go to college, and I thought that it was funny. My friend Michael told me that that's a sign that I'm going to do well in the class, because I kicked all of the little kids' booties last semester. So I'm trying to think what else I need to tell you. Okay, this is my last thing to tell you. I was talking to my son a couple of weeks ago, and he reminded me that it is almost the 1-year anniversary of My Hippie Heart. And that is super exciting. I pulled up the calendar, and it's like 2 weeks from now. So I have to think of something creative to do so that we can celebrate a little bit. I'm very excited. I really am. I was talking to my brother today, and I was telling him that my brother does podcast, he does videos, and it's very interesting because I've talked about my relationship with him, but I said that as I get older, the relationships that I have are much stronger, much more developed, and loved. And anyway, my brother is one of those relationships. And we were talking earlier because he's getting ready to start a new podcast. And I was telling him that My Hippie Heart was almost 1 year old, and that the last year on YouTube literally changed my entire life. And one day, when I can get some free time, I am going to go back to the beginning, and I'm going to watch all of my videos, and I just want to see, because I know inside, I feel like I'm just so different, so much more healed, I guess in some respects, but then, also dealing with some newer traumas. But God, my whole entire life has changed over the last year. And so Thank you, thank you. And I have to think of something fun to do for our birthday where we can celebrate a little bit. So anyway, I hope that you guys had an amazing week, and I'm so happy to connect with you, and I hope to see you soon.